everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, February 18th, 2024. That Jordan is a woman of many wigs. Talents, for sure, but also wigs. My goodness, they all look so great on her too. I don't know how she's pulling it off. Blonde, brunette, long, short. She is keeping me interested visually, and she's keeping me guessing character-wise too. She's so great, and I was so happy to see her face again this week. She really is Nikki's Sheila. Jordan is to Nikki as Sheila was to Lauren. And I did not make that connection at first, how perfect it is for Nikki to have Lauren by her side through all of this now. Because Lauren Fenmore knows a thing or two about having a crazy psycho stalker. And maybe defeating them. But I just, for the life of me, I don't understand why Lauren seemed to be encouraging Nikki to go toe-to-toe with Jordan. That doesn't make any sense. I would think that Lauren might have the message of play it safe. But no. Nikki made the kind of impulsive decision to star 69 Jordan. She star 69'd her back to the unknown number that she was calling from. And Lauren the whole time was just sitting there doing nothing, saying nothing. And I thought, why don't you have a reaction to this? Why don't you do something? Stop her. But don't stop her. Because it was really fun to watch Nikki just spouting off into dead air. She got no response on the other end of the line. Jordan must have had to listen to it all and take a few minutes to let it soak in. And then she called Nikki back after she thought about it and figured out exactly what she wanted to say. She called Nikki back from the popcorn-littered table at the empty glass. And now I think that was a really good exchange. That was the highlight of the week for me, because Nikki was all like, come and get me. And then Jordan was all like, oh, I will, and you will never see me coming. That was so good. And I don't know about you, but I am scared. I am genuinely concerned for Nikki. And yet, rather than calling Victor to tell him what had happened, Lauren said, let's call Jack and have him bring us some lunch. I love that Lauren had her priorities straight there. Like, no, let's lunch. Okay, villain, yeah. But let's lunch on the inside. Let's lunch in safety. That's rational. And let's call Jack to be our delivery boy. Great. I mean, the great Jack Abbott is now on call for lunch deliveries for the town ladies. How nice. Oh, Jack. He did remind Nikki that if she were to give in to her urge to drink now, that would be a huge mistake. If she gives in to the drinking now, she's really just going to be giving in to Jordan's plan. And if she gives in, she's also potentially going to turn into the lush that she dreamed that she was, like stooped down into a huddled, dirty mass outside of the athletic club revolving door. No, 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 Nikki. No, no, no. You cannot drink now and make it easier for Jordan, who presumably wants to torture and murder you. So best to stay sharp. So what did you guys think of Nikki and Victor's bedroom? It's fruit and flower themed. I really would not have expected that. Clearly, Victor got to be the one to decorate the main room. He decorated the horsey room, but Nikki was definitely the one who picked the giant still life fruit bowl to be hung above the bed. Class. An oil portrait. You wouldn't think, honestly, it would have been a Victor portrait or a portrait of them. An oil portrait of them together hanging above the bed. Like one of the early photos of them together in oil hanging above the bed. No, 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 no. Fruit bowl. Who wants still life above the bed? Should be in motion. The artwork there should be in motion. Such a poor choice. But it's fodder for us, because always remember, no matter how larger than life you might imagine Victor Newman to be, he still sleeps with a giant still life fruit bowl painting above his head. That is not masculine. Fruit, not masculine. Yes. That dream was good, and we cannot let it become a reality, Nikki. You cannot trust anyone outside of your inner circle now, Nikki. Especially that Seth. Seth is back. Okay. But, seriously, what a little weenie pickle he is. Crying into his beer at the empty class. Not empty class, the empty glass. Crying into his beer at the bar. Ugh. Looking at his phone and the text messages from Nikki. I really love it when these kind of dorky looking guys get their crushes on Nikki. Like, remember Milton? To me, Seth is right there side by side with Milton. But once you've had a black stallion like Victor Newman, a guy like Seth or Milton will never do. So good luck, nerd. But I don't know. I mean, Jordan did a brilliant job of winding him up and pointing him right into Nikki's direction, pretending that she just so happened to be going through the exact same thing that he is right now, just missing Nikki so much. I mean, who could be mad at Nikki Newman? So good. What a dummy. Oh my goodness. I wonder if, like, we saw in the preview for next week that Seth is going to go to Nikki's house, so he's going to go to the ranch, and I wonder if she's going to turn him away. He's been drinking, so she's going to smell it on him. She's going to probably turn him away, and I wonder if he is then going to feel a little bit jilted, and then maybe he's going to start talking about revenge, and then maybe in a drunken state he will agree to partner up with Jordan, aka Isabel, or whatever her fake name is, and maybe the two of them will decide that they want to teach Nikki a lesson that she won't live to forget. I am not saying that you have to tell your spouse every single little detail about your life, but it seems to me like Nikki is leaning on everybody but Victor. She didn't tell him right away about the phone calls that she was receiving, although she did eventually fess up about that. But she also called Jack to talk about it with him before she talked to Victor about it. Now, it's all under the guise of, just wanting to prevent the urge to drink. But, like, shouldn't Victor have been higher on the list? Because at the very least, he needed to know so that he could ramp up the ranch security. I think Lauren said she looked out the window and there was one guard outside the house. Just one guard? That doesn't seem like enough. We need to be on high alert for this psycho stalker, don't you think? Well, Victor is busy putting together his own plan to flush Jordan out. And now I think this is great because all of Jordan's focus has been on Nikki. Nikki's been the target. But isn't it really Victor that Jordan has the beef with? He's the one who supposedly mistreated her beloved dead sister. So I think it's high time that Victor said to Jordan, hey, why don't you pick on me instead? And so his plan is to try to pretend to make amends with Jordan about whatever happened between he and Eve, and he wants to lure Jordan in with a fake apology and then toss a net over her. And he's planning to use Claire to do it, and Victoria does not like that, but Victoria should also know that Zeus gonna do what Zeus gonna do. I mean, isn't that the truth? I thought that was really an interesting, fun little highlight of the week. In the Greek mythology, Claire reading to sick children in the hospital. I mean, what a saint she has turned out to be. And I loved the comparison of Victor to Zeus and Victoria to Athena. I've read a couple of those like Greek mythology, new romance, twisty books. So that's interesting to me. That tracks with me. And I think those are kind of popular right now. And I think that Claire is probably fascinated to discover that she is a part of this godly bloodline. And if she helps Victor by passing along a message to Jordan the next time that Jordan calls, I wonder if Claire is in the back of her mind thinking secretly that she would be happy to be accepted into the Pantheon one day. Now Billy wants to change the name of Chancellor Winters to become Abbott Chancellor Winters. What do you think? Is this a good idea or is this absolutely ridiculous? This is our poll question for the week at yrchancellor.com. I mean, yrchat.com. Do you think we need to change the Chancellor Winters name? I vote an emphatic no. I am so irritated by this. I just don't know what it is. Over the past couple of years, Y&R is obsessed with name changing and name swapping. These companies are constantly changing names. It's like the only thing that they do. There's never even any hint of them doing business. It's just name changing. I'm so tired of the name drama. I am not for it. You can call me Team Devon on this one. The foundation of that company is Chancellor Industries, okay? I do not care if Catherine is around to manage the company or not. It's Chancellor Industries. Then we merged it with Neil and Devon's company, and it became Chancellor Winters. And yeah, Jill owns Chancellor Industries, but she didn't have any interest in adding her name to it when it was Chancellor Industries. And plus, she's one owner of many. The name Abbott does not need to be on it. Jill is not even an Abbott. When did she go back to being Jill Abbott? She has been married several times since she and John divorced. Last time I checked, she was married to Colin, so she would have been Jill Atkinson. And when you divorce, you don't just go back to the last name that you used a couple husbands ago. But I literally laughed out loud when Billy said, quote, "She always reverts to Abbott." Sure, she's been married a couple of other times, but she always reverts to Abbott. That is so completely ridiculous. If anything, she should want it to be Jill Foster. Or Foster Chancellor Winters. She's not Jill Abbott. The only reason that we're doing this is because Billy is an Abbott. So either it's just ridiculous writing, and it is, or we're supposed to believe and know that Billy is a narcissist who cannot bear to work at a company that does not have his name on the building. And maybe that's why Tucker mentioned to Billy a couple weeks ago that he should and could consider taking over Jabot or folding it into Chancellor Winters. So maybe that's what Billy is considering, acquiring Jabot for Abbott Chancellor Winters. I'm sorry. Billy, you need to get a life, okay? You've only worked at Chancellor Winters for 2 months now. Find something else to do. Get back to work. Was there seriously no Valentine's Day this year? I'm surprised because usually we get something for Valentine's Day. Some mention of it, and this year there was nothing. I mean, Summer and Chance had a date on February 13th, but I didn't get the impression that it was a Valentine's night date. I mean, it was nice, but not Valentine's Day. Well, Summer and Chance talked about his past career, which was kind of interesting to think about, considering it wasn't always this actor playing Chance. So it was interesting to kind of go over the past career of Chance. But they also talked about their kids. It was cute. They talked about their parents. That was funny. And they talked about their divorces. And they had a first kiss. Pretty sure that would have been the first kiss. It was nice. It was very nice. I loved that Phyllis and Nick were at the bar at the same time as Summer and Chance, and Phyllis literally wanted to go and sit down with them so that she could pry her little heart out, and Nick yanked her back. There was just this funny moment where Chance politely said, "Do you want to sit down?" And Phyllis said, "Sure," and Nick said, "Nope," and just yanked Phyllis back from her chain. Even though, I mean, I think Nick was curious about it all, too. And I just really felt for Nick when he said, it doesn't matter how old she is. She's always going to be my little girl. And I connected with that this week because sometimes I wonder how I'm ever going to see my daughter as anything other than my little girl. And I'm not really looking forward to seeing her kissing anybody either. So that was a hard parenting moment. But Nick and Phyllis also got a chance to catch up finally. I mean, she has been undead for so long now, and this was the first time that they were actually sitting down and getting around to talking about it. Nick said that, you know what, if Daniel and Summer can forgive you, then I can forgive you too. And so they had a good conversation, and Phyllis went on to talk about how Danny has forgiven her and that they are meant to be together and yada yada. And Nick knew that that did not make sense, and he lightly challenged her on it. But, you know, I think Nick probably knows that Phyllis has decided this in her mind, and nothing and no one is going to convince her otherwise. Phyllis also asked Nick about his love life. It was kind of like, okay, side note, what's going on with you? Mostly we're here to talk about me, but on the side, how's it going with you? Like, for instance, what happened with you and Sally Spectra? And I thought it was a really great moment when Nick said, she's sexy and unpredictable. Do you really not see how I would be attracted to that type? I liked that. But Nick is moving on, and he accepts that Sally and Adam are together, and he is supporting Adam's campaign to get Victor to fold Sally's business under the Newman umbrella. So I guess things are not going well for Spectra, Mitchell, Fisher, Unlimited Enterprises Incorporated, apparently. I don't know what her business name is, but it should be that. Maybe that's a future plot. So Adam tried this week to force Victor to make good on that deal that he offered to Sally and then cruelly yanked away from her, but Victor said no. Victor said, under no circumstances will I ever work with Sally Spectra professionally. Why? I mean, really, what's the big deal, Victor? Are you afraid that she's going to try to redecorate your office? Out with the horses and in with the leopards. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? Last week I said, oh, isn't it lovely to have a nice, relaxing car ride between Victor and Nikki where there's no car crash, just gorgeous lighting and a calm, relaxing change of scenery. And then this week, oh, doesn't Ashley look beautiful being chauffeured around town? What a luxury. What a luxurious moment. She's doing so well. And then car crash. Flashback. Ashley's pregnant and bloody in the front seat of her car after getting smashed by a Bronco like 30 years ago. All these little traumas. All of Ashley's little traumas piling up like petals. Like, none of these things are very individually very big, but then after a while it all kind of adds up until she can't see through them. I mean, I feel like Tucker is someone that Ashley trusted. I feel like she allowed herself to feel safe with him. And then he freaked out on her in Paris, and that trust got shaken, and it just ripped open a portal to the past where suddenly she didn't know what was real and what wasn't. And I think the car accident was exactly the same thing. She had this presumed feeling of safety inside the car, and then someone comes along and rear ends the car, and now that portal to the past is ripped open again. I think it's totally relatable because that's how trauma works. It's not logical. It's instinctual. It's your body going into survival mode. And if you've been hurt, traumatized by something in your past, and then something happens in your present that triggers those feelings or reminds you of those old feelings, I think your body's going to flip into fight or flight mode, and it's going to do anything, say anything, believe anything to avoid going through that trauma again. That's where Ashley is right now. It's looking more and more like she has projected all of this onto Tucker. And I don't know, I feel like it's not entirely unwarranted, because she trusted him and he acted like a child, and he bailed out of their relationship at the first sign of trouble. Like, they were on their honeymoon in Paris, for crying out loud. She told him something he didn't want to hear, and he threw a little hissy fit. It took her a year to learn to forgive and to trust him again, and then the second she let herself feel safe on her honeymoon, married to the man, he then switched it around and kind of betrayed her emotionally, I think. He then ran away from Paris, came home and slept with Audra, and now he is doubling down on Audra. And as much as I love Tucker and Audra, and I do, there's something I just don't totally trust here, because he is saying and doing all the right things when it comes to Audra, but then the second Ashley calls, he is hopping out of bed to go see Ashley when he told Audra that he was not going to do that. No, I think he still wants Ashley, or maybe what it is that he wants from Ashley is her approval. I think he wants Ashley's approval, and I don't know. He sees her struggling, and I just feel like somebody made this point last week, and it really resonated with me. Well, okay, if he ever loved her, if he ever loved Ashley, he should be concerned about her right now, instead of being so combative, you know? It's like that's all he knows how to do. Combat. And it's sort of the same way with Audra. They're perfect for each other. But I'm mad at him for crawling out of that bed. And I'm mad at him for telling Audra that he loves her for the first time while she was sleeping and she couldn't hear it. What the hell was that all about? Am I supposed to swoon at the fact that he is too scared to say it to her face? That he can only say it when she's unconscious? No. I'm sorry. But I will tell you who Tucker loves. Tucker loves Tucker. And Tucker loves getting what he wants. And when Ashley stopped giving him what he wanted, which was to run a company with her and to go to war with Jabot with her, he wanted love and war. And she wasn't giving it to him. She decided she didn't want that. And now he's just going to try to get it with Audra. So it's just Ashley out, Audra in. And as much as I'm totally enjoying, like, most every second of Tucker and Audra and their super hot, super complicated sex business romance, I am just also waiting for the day that she realizes that he is full of it and then stabs him, not in the back, but in the front. Patience sucks. Ain't that the truth? Patience sucks. Out of the mouth of babes. Lucy said it. Last week she was talking to Heather about the fact that their family reunion's been delayed because of Lily. Heather told her to be patient. She said, patience sucks. That's such a teeny thing to say. Congratulations, Marianne V, Hannah, Justin, Henry, Wonderful Wendy, Victoria, Sheila, Calvin, Dolores, Sharon W, Ron, Daisy, good old Marky, and Kamna. Good job, you guys. I like this one for Valentine's week. Who said it? Hearts are unpredictable. Yes, they are. Hearts are unpredictable. Who said it? If you want to leave your guess, go to yrchat.com, and if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Well, enough of what I have to say. Let's find out what you guys have to say and read some comments, starting with Daisy, who says, I would love to see Tracy find someone in her life. One scenario might be that she starts working as a private detective, wanting to do some research for her next book, and the man she's working with starts off as an adversary, snarky and rude, but he later explains that he wasn't going to sugarcoat the job for her. He wanted her to know all the dynamics. Tracy then realizes that he's a really good person, someone she'd like to get to know more, and the beginning of their relationship ensues. Wouldn't this be wonderful? I mean, it seems like fans really like Tracy, and I love that she's back on the show in the capacity that she is in, but I really think a Tracy romance story would go over very well with the fans. I think the fans would be rooting for her, being like, go Tracy, yes, yes, yes. So wasn't that maybe something that Y&R could come up with for 2024? I mean, Daisy has given us the plot. It's perfect. Well, Sherrod says, I am not a fan of Ashley's by any means, but Jack and Tracy handled that situation all wrong. Diane is right. They made matters worse. No matter what, the family should have been on her side and believed her version of the story, or at least told her they believed her. They're proving Tucker right that she should not have chosen her family over him. Ooh, Sherrod, you're totally right. It's like, oops, Tracy told Jack, and then Jack kind of like said, oh, we gotta talk to you about something, and Ashley's like, what is it, and he's like, well, Tracy told me that you're blah 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 blah, and then Tracy comes in and looks like the betrayer, and she should have been so mad at Jack for opening his mouth and letting that little bit out, because then it just turned into Ashley feeling like, what? My family doesn't trust me? And as Sherrod says, like, maybe Tucker was right. Maybe she made the wrong choice on who to trust. But, yeah, and then I thought it was interesting that Diane, as soon as Ashley left, jumped on Jack and Tracy. And Diane, of all people, said, why did you do that? And that was kind of nice. And then, again, on Friday, as soon as she got home from the car accident, we had this scene where she was just sitting in the foyer right by the front door, and she sat there and she kind of called out. She said, Jack, Tracy, Diane, and she was wanting somebody, she was needing somebody's help. She was calling out for someone to help her, and I thought it was really interesting that Diane was among them. I mean, yeah, she was, lower on the list, and she lives there in the mansion or whatever, but I just thought it was really cool that Diane got it. And that they're becoming, I don't know, they're becoming a little closer at least. I think it would have been interesting if Ashley called out and Diane was the one who came. It is getting scary. Dolores says Ashley is scaring me. Whether or not she's right or wrong on what happened to her in Paris, her behavior and demeanor to believe and to get to the truth is, I feel, leading her to possibly having a real, total mental break. She wants to meet with Tucker again. To what end? Does she think he's going to say anything different, or what does she hope to accomplish? Please, Ashley, get past this and be a winner by living happily in spite of Tucker. Close that door. Let Tucker go, as you felt you had in Paris. It's not worth losing your sanity over this. Dolores, this is so true and so right, because it's like she keeps wanting to go meet with Tucker, as if anything's going to come of it, as if he's going to tell her something different or something's going to result from it. And Jack had talked to her a little bit before she went again and confronted Tucker. And it almost seemed like, or maybe it was after, but it almost seemed like he had convinced her. And she said, you know what, you're right. I'm going to just live my best life and be glad I'm done with him. And that's my victory. That's my win. So there was this brief moment where it was like, oh, okay, right. She gets it. She gets it. But she's still kind of saying all the right things. And that's where we left at the end of Friday's show. She's saying all the right things. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. But we know that she's not. And again, it's these little things, you know, it's the little things that start piling up. And that's what makes it very believable to me. It's like never the big things probably that drive you crazy. It's like, it's that little nagging thing. It's the fact that it's like, well, wait a minute. I really thought this is what happened. No, it's not a big deal. Of course, it's on the surface. It's like, whatever, okay, two different people had two different perspectives, whatever, Ashley, let it go. But it's the fact that it's like, well, that's my perception, you know, that's really what I thought. I think it's almost just like this inconsequential thing that is actually consequential, and it's nagging and possibly going to be driving her nuts. Naomi says, Ashley's demeanor while berating Tucker was showing her hand. I think Tucker appeared amused and unruffled because Ashley was so passionate. I mean, love and hate are sometimes interchangeable when we love deeply. Ashley could only hate this much if she also loved this much. Tucker sees through and realizes his love for her was reciprocated. He has decided to move on because Ashley is overly obsessed with her family and Tucker's huge ego needs 100% alliance. Oh, dang. Yes! Yes, Naomi. Tucker's huge ego requires 100% alliance. Ashley wasn't allowed to say, you know what, maybe I don't want to go destroy my family business, the company that my father built. Yeah, I'm mad at my brother, my brother and my siblings right now, but maybe I don't want to destroy my father's company. And the fact that he couldn't see that is ridiculous. I just keep feeling like it was Tucker that betrayed that marriage, not Ashley. She ended up coming to the right conclusion that we shouldn't be going to war with Jabot. She didn't reject him. She didn't reject their marriage. She didn't even reject the business they were going to start together. She just didn't want to go after Jabot, and he couldn't handle it. See, I think this is turning out to be pretty good. I know not everybody is loving this part, but it just feels very believable to me. I get it. I just get it. I can connect. Well, here's something I can't connect to. Gary says, I cannot believe that the new issue is to tag Abbott onto Chancellor Winters in honor of Jill. How many intense scenes will determine the outcome of this for the fake company? If I started griping about the absurdity of all of this, I would not be able to stop. See, I'm having trouble stopping because I feel the absurdity of this too. And I just want to note that when Billy was talking about this, when he first brought it up to Chelsea, he said that he wanted it to be called Abbott Winters. He wanted to take out the Chancellor name. Did you notice that? He specifically said Abbott Winters. And then Chelsea questioned him about, well, wait a minute, it wasn't Chancellor Industries? Shouldn't Chancellor be in there? And then when he went to pitch it to Devon, he said, oh, well, I'm not wanting to remove any of the names. I just want to add mine. I want Abbott Chancellor Winters. So he changed it. At first it was Abbott Winters, and then when he pitched it, he said Abbott Chancellor Winters. Oh, no, Devon, I'm not suggesting that we remove the Chancellor name. No, I would never dream of it. So that really ticked me off, too. Because I was mad when he brought it up with Chelsea. I was like, what? You wanting to take the Chancellor name out of Chancellor Winters? I will kill you. And then he toned it down and like, no, I'm not talking about removing anything. I just want to add something. Sure. Ellen says, Billy is kind of an outsider at work and in his family. Devon doesn't invite him to important meetings, and he doesn't really know what's going on with Ashley. No wonder he has a chip on his shoulder. Oops, did I just express empathy for Billy Boy? What's wrong with me today? Yeah, you're on the opposite end of me on this one, Ellen, because usually I've got empathy for Billy, but that he would dare suggest removing the Chancellor name really ticked me off. I was like, forget it. But you do make a good point that, like, he has no clue what's going on with Ashley. He has no clue what's going on with Ashley in the same way that Abby has no clue what's going on with the Newman family. Sharon W. says, great entrance by Amanda on Friday when Devon delivers the news to Billy that the company name will remain the same, leaving off the name Abbott. Amanda tells Devon that Jill will be sorry to hear that. As the amazing attorney that Amanda is, I believe that she will have no problem rectifying this situation. Oh, so yeah, that must be why we're bringing Amanda into the fold. She's going to go to bat for Jill and get her name amended onto the company because probably Billy was the one that brought it up. There's no way Jill just decided this out of the blue. Billy's the one that came up with it, and Jill's like, yeah, honey, fine. Jill's like on a beach having a daiquiri somewhere. She's half lit with shirtless guys all around her, and she's taking the phone call from Billy and saying, yeah, sure, honey, that sounds good. Bye. That's how I imagine that conversation went down. But I also do love that Devon kind of comes in and the way Devon is so self-righteous, and he comes in and he's like, no, there'll be no name change. And then Amanda comes in and says, Jill's gonna be sorry to hear that. So that should give some good challenge. Having Amanda back specifically to challenge something with Devon, that should be good for next week. Gary says, I have to go out, but I can't wait for Victor to talk to Aunt Jordan and give her that sob story about wanting to make it up to her for what he did to her poor sister Eve Howard. What a load of BS, but maybe he can trap her. Can this goon come back from a fourth time, or will this be her grand finale? Yes, we have seen Nikki versus Jordan. I am ready to see Victor versus Jordan, and will it be the final showdown? Calmness says, between Nikki and Ashley, Jack is going to need to book a room next to Claire's. Yes, that's so funny because I keep thinking that as soon as Claire's doing great. As soon as Claire gets out of the hospital, Ashley's going to need that room. But you make a great point that it's actually Jack who's going to need the recovery at this point. Gary says, look how kind and lovely Claire Grace is with that little girl and how Victoria is captivated by it from the shadows. Happy Valentine's Day to the chatters with romance in their souls globally. Yeah, that was all the Valentine's Day that we got, I guess. We have to Happy Valentine's Day congratulate each other. But yeah, that was a lovely little scene. And Henry says, happenstance, coincidence, or what? The little girl introduced on Wednesday's episode is Nadia. We all know that the Young and the Restless theme music is Nadia's theme. I'm sure all of the astute Y&R chatters will immediately catch that, as I did. I find the little girl is simply adorable with a smile that can melt one's heart. Yes, yes. I didn't catch that, though. I heard Nadia, and for some reason I did not make that connection to the theme song. That's brilliant, Henry, yes. And they probably did it on purpose. Whew, that flew right over my head. How about this from Diana? Allie, I was doing some research on Cole's father, and I hope that you find this interesting. It's definitely a classic case of history repeating itself. I didn't know who Cole's father was, except that his mother, Eve, wanted Victor to believe that he was the father at one time. His father's name was Rick Darros, whom once had a romantic relationship with Nikki back in 1984 when she was pregnant with Victoria. Unfortunately, Nikki did not know that Rick Darros had already murdered his first wife, Melissa, before she got together with him. Nikki and Cole's father, Rick, were on a trip in St. Croix where he tied Nikki up and held her hostage as he planned to kill her after revealing the truth about Victoria's paternity. Nikki managed to hit him over the head with a frying pan and briefly escaped before being recaptured. after Rick Daros gained consciousness. The following day, he held Nikki at gunpoint, just as Aunt Jordan did, and planned to take Nikki scuba diving, where he was going to send Nikki into the ocean without an oxygen tank. Paul, Andy, and Victor came to her rescue, but not before Victor was shot in the groin by Rick with a spear gun. Rick Daros then disappeared into the ocean. A few months later, Rick, who had amnesia, escapes from the sanitarium and goes to Genoa City, where he meets Eve, and the two of them break into the Newman Ranch while Nikki and Victor are on vacation. They steal money from Victor's safe and go off to Europe, a classic soap story if I ever heard one. So, it seems that mental illness is not only on Cole's mother's side, but also his father's. Watch out, Cole and Victoria. You may be in for the ride of your life. Ooh. Bravo, Diana. Bravo. That was so good. I kind of remember, I think from this book back here, from my Y&R Classic Moments book, I think it's in there that Rick was going to try to replace or give Nikki an oxygen tank that didn't have oxygen and send her scuba diving. And I'm pretty sure I remember the story about Victor getting shot in the groin with the spear. You would not see that today. The old shot in the groin with a spear. That was classic soap right there, and a really nice throwback. I like that a lot. Thank you so much, and Diana Ann, for tying it into the current story too. That, oh my goodness, so Cole's mother was a nut, Cole's father was a nut, so there's nutty all around. Oh, speaking of nutty, I asked you guys last week if you were rooting for Chris or Phyllis. If it's a choice of Christine versus Phyllis, who are you going to choose? I guess I shouldn't be surprised that 76% of you, the vast majority, picked Christine. Team Christine. I'm not going to lie. Like, if it's about who gets Danny, definitely I want Chris to win. But if it's just in general, I feel like I'm rooting for Phyllis. I kind of think I voted for Phyllis. It's been a week, but I think I voted for Phyllis. They're just, I guess maybe it's just she's the challenge. She's, it's like Chris seems like a slam dunk in anything, but I guess I have to vote underdog. But Sue W says I vote Team Christine for the win in the Danny game. Danny is way too all-around bland for the hot mess that is Phyllis. Boredom City and bedroom. For her, should Team Phyllis prevail. Not dissing Danny, he and Christine can be all around on fire together. Everybody finds their match, but I find Danny to be a complete mismatch in every way for Phyllis, except they're tolerant and forced making the best of for co-parenting. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he's totally mismatched for Phyllis. Tony says, I just think a Danny and Christine love is boring. So if they are together, they can take a world tour 2-year honeymoon. Phyllis can find herself at Nick's and reconnect. Remember when Nick caught a grape that she tossed into his mouth on New Year's Eve and she said, "Happy birthday, baby"? That's it. I do remember, right? There was, like, she tossed the grape and he caught it in his mouth and then she said, "Happy birthday, baby." Phyllis and Nick had fire. There's no doubt about that. There was fire there. Happy birthday, baby. Hey, speaking of that, happy birthday, good old Marky. Happy birthday, baby. February 22nd, that's Thursday. I hope someone tosses a grape in your mouth and you catch it. Here, let me be the one. Toss, here's a virtual grape. I'm tossing it into your mouth. You have just caught it, and I am telling you, happy birthday, baby. So fun. Oh, okay, this is where we are going to end this Y&R chat. T. Nicole with the real burning question of the week. I'm sorry, but where was the Valentine's Day sex? Nailed it! Tucker and Audra kind of had sex, didn't they? I don't know. I feel like they had the sex last week and then it was the after sex on Monday. Was there any sex this week for Valentine's week. It's just very strange. Usually they would do something. I mean, Y&R's done a very good job of giving us romance this year. So that's why I guess my expectation was set for having a Valentine's Day, and we just didn't get it. Oh well. Oh well. Where's Nick and Sharon? Aren't they supposed to be fated? And instead he's having cocktails with Phyllis this week? I don't know. What's going on? What's going on? How about you tell me? Go to yrchat.com. Leave some comments. Let me know what you're thinking about all this craziness. And I will be back next Sunday to tell you what I think. I did that today. I'll do it next time too. I love you guys. I hope you have a really good week. Happy belated Valentine's Day. I love you. Bye.